Exactly 30 minutes ago, the Korean entertainment world was again rocked by a completely unexpected moment. Jungkook, BTS Golden Meanie, was caught on camera crying in Jin's arms, a rare moment that captured the attention and shook the emotions of millions of soldiers around the world. The question now, what really happened? Why did those tears spill? And what is the hidden meaning of those hugs that take place in silence and tension? This moment did not happen on stage, nor in the official broadcast session or a grand concert. It takes place behind the scenes, away from the glare of professional cameras, and is only known to the public thanks to informal footage leaks and testimonials from HYB's internal employees. But in a very short time, the footage and emotional narrative went viral, flooding social media with hashtags, speculation, to demands for transparency from the agency. The short-lived footage that first circulated showed a warm atmosphere between the BTS members who had just reunited after Jin's return from his military service. But the mood changed drastically when Jin was seen approaching Jungkook, hugging him tightly, and instantly the youngest vocalist's cry broke out. Not just a quiet sob, but a cry that almost sounded like a long-held emotional outburst. The meeting was initially rumored to be a private agenda, planned internally to celebrate Jin's return to the BTS environment. But according to reports, when Jin hugged Jungkook, something unusual happened. Silence. Quiet. There was no laughter, no typical jokes of the members. Even the other members, Jimin, RM, V, J-Hope, and Suga, just looked at them without a word. What was Jin really talking about before Jungkook cried? In a statement released shortly afterwards, Jin delivered a short but deep message. There are wounds that we cannot hide any longer. This sentence instantly sparked a wave of analysis from observers, journalists, and fans. Who's hurt? What wounds are meant? And why did Jin, a figure known to be discreet but secretive, suddenly decide to speak openly? According to an unnamed source, Jin had a one-on-one conversation with Jungkook before the embrace. The talk was not attended by other members and took place in a very emotional atmosphere. It is not known exactly the content of the conversation, but the result is clear. A Jungkook who had seemed strong in front of the public finally collapsed in front of the figure he respected as hyung and mentor. For many fans, the cry was not just an expression of longing or emotion for the reunion. It is a symbol of something greater: emotional distress, psychological exhaustion, and perhaps an internal conflict that has never been revealed. Jungkook is not only a solo artist with a busy schedule, he is also the only member of BTS who is still commercially active during the conscription period of other members. The heavy responsibility he alone bears seems to be beginning to show its effects. A number of K-pop industry observers assess this moment as the culmination of accumulated pressure that has long been buried. He's too strong to ask for help, but not strong enough to bear it all on his own, said one music commentator who has been following BTS's journey since the beginning. Jungkook's body language, since the past few months, has often shown fatigue hidden behind a smile and professionalism. Jin's statement in a post-incident interview further reinforces this allegation. He said, "When Jungkook cried, I felt all our guilt as Hyung gathered in that embrace." A simple sentence, but has an unusually large emotional weight. Guilt? For what? To let their sister face the world alone. The reaction of fans was very diverse. Many expressed deep sympathy, even launching an online campaign urging HYB to pay more attention to the mental health of BTS members. But on the other hand, there are also skeptical voices that question the authenticity of this narrative. Some judge this event as a form of emotional communication strategy designed to rebuild public sentiment towards BTS, especially in times of uncertainty over the group's direction. We cannot ignore the fact that information about this moment comes mainly from amateur clips, audio cuts, and unverified testimonials. There was no official statement from HYB explaining explicitly the reason behind Jungkook's crying. Even the statements of the Jin are very implicit and open up wide space for various interpretations. If this is indeed a real moment that reflects internal pressure and personal suffering, then it should be a wake-up call for the entire K-pop industry. The question is, does management really give the artist enough space and time to emotionally recuperate? Has the pressure of imagery, public expectations, and hectic schedules made K-pop idols lose their humanity? But if this is a deliberately constructed narrative, and it's worth noting, it's not uncommon in the entertainment industry, then we should question the motives behind it. Is this just a strategy to maintain the relevance of the group during the break? Or to restore public sympathy after a period of stagnation? What makes this situation even more complicated is the lack of clarity on the part of the agency. When the public demanded answers, HYB remained silent. They did not confirm, but did not refute either. Such an ambiguous attitude only fuels more speculation. In a world where virality can be stronger than reality, passivity can be an effective promotional weapon, but it's also dangerous. Some people even suspect that this is part of the scenario of BTS's image recovery after the hiatus. With Jin's return from military service, it is quite possible that the company wants to rebuild the momentum of public emotions that had declined. Moreover, BTS is known as a group that is able to combine narrative power and emotion in every movement, but not everyone agrees. Many soldiers still believe that what they witnessed was an honest and sincere moment, that the hug is not a scenario, but an overflow of tiredness, loneliness, and tension that can no longer be held. For them, it's not about strategy or imagery, but about humanity. About an idol who finally dared to show his most vulnerable side, in a deeper reflection. This moment is a reminder that behind the glitter of the stage, idols are still ordinary people. They feel tired, disappointed, and oppressed. They have wounds, even if they never show them in public. And when they finally cry, it's not weakness, it's courage. Now, attention is drawn to the next step. Will HYB give an explanation? Will Jungkook talk? Or will this moment be left hanging, continuing to be a mystery that ignites debate among fans and observers? More than a tear, this moment has opened a Pandora's box that has been tightly sealed by the ideal image. Is BTS really okay? Or are they just trying to survive in a system that demands them to continue to be perfect? As a public, we have a responsibility, not only to support, but also to care. Not to justify narratives without evidence, and not to turn a blind eye to signs of fatigue that may have been overlooked for too long. Jin's embrace and Jungkook's cry are not just symbols of brotherhood. It could be a signal that big changes are, or should be, happening. Now, the question that remains is not only about the truth behind that embrace, but also about how we choose to respond to it. With empathy or with skepticism. With support or just a momentary emotional consumption. One thing is for sure, the world has seen the other side of BTS today. And perhaps that was the most real side of them all along. But now, after a viral emotional wave engulfed the public, a fundamental question arises that must be put forward in a healthy and adult discussion space. Is this incident of Jungkook crying in Jin's arms really real? Or is it possible that we are witnessing the result of narrative engineering that is deliberately emotionally packaged in order to pull back the media spotlight on BTS? This question is not to hurt the empathy that has grown in the hearts of fans, but to challenge each of us, as consumers of information, to be critical. Please be aware that most of the information regarding this moment comes from TikTok uploads, video snippets from YouTube, as well as unofficial quotes that are widely circulated on Twitter and other online forums. Without official clarification on the part of the agency or the members themselves, this information remains in the realm of not being factually verified. So, Who was the first to post the video? Is the viral content really taken from an honest and spontaneous moment? Or is it possible that the moment has been edited, cut out of context, or even arranged in a specific narrative order to bring out the maximum emotional effect? Furthermore, we have to admit the fact that today's entertainment world is very used to building stories behind the scenes. Emotions are commodities. Symbols of tears, hugs, and silence can be a very effective tool for creating a wave of mass sympathy. So the question is, if this moment is indeed constructed, who will benefit the most? Is the public witnessing the emotional reality of the psychological pressure heaped on Jungkook? Or are they being led to believe certain narratives that have been carefully curated by those with their own agendas? In a world controlled by algorithms, where the popularity of content is determined by how often it is shared or emotionally responded to, emotion becomes a powerful propaganda tool. When the public cries because of a 30-second video, are they crying because of the facts? Or is it because the way of delivery that has been engineered to touch the deepest emotional point? Let us ponder. Had the event not been recorded and shared, would this story still have had the same powerful impact? Will the public still feel empathy without the visual effects and narratives delivered dramatically by fan accounts and influencers? This question is important because it touches the heart of modern information dynamics, that what is seen is not always what is true. I end this context, then it is important to encourage a reflective and skeptical attitude, not in a negative sense, but as a form of moral responsibility in consuming information. Skepticism does not mean rejecting the truth completely, but re-examining the truth before believing it and spreading it. What if the moment was real and emotional? If so, have we, as the public, gone too far into the private sphere of the artists? Is the dissemination of the video of Jungkook's crying a form of empathy, or is it precisely a violation of personal emotional space that should not be consumed publicly? Conversely, if it is part of an imaging strategy, then we need to question the ethics behind the exploitation of those emotions. Is it worth making someone's tears a promotional tool, just for the sake of returning public attention to the group or product to which they relate? Both of these scenarios, both as real moments and narrative fabrications, equally demand critical evaluation from all of us. Whether as fans, observers of pop culture, or as responsible digital citizens, we must stop being passive spectators who only receive information based on virality or momentary emotional impulses. I end this case? We are all challenged to return to the most fundamental question in the information age. Am I consuming the truth, or is it just a narrative? And when you read news like this, have you asked, what is the source? Who spread it first? What's the purpose? Even if it is finally proven that the moment is true and sincere, we still need to criticize the way it is spread. Do you have the consent of the registered person? Do they want the moment to be public consumption? Is our empathy given appropriately? Or is it part of a cycle of emotional consumerism that we unknowingly carry out? Finally, we would like to convey that the information in this article is based on open source compilations that have not all been verified. Video clips, quotes from social media, and online testimonials have limits when it comes to accuracy. Therefore, we invite all readers, including ARMY, to continue to be critical, way before believing, and not get swept up in emotional currents that could have been engineered. Will you be a reflective spectator? Or do you choose to be part of a mass that is easily directed by an emotional narrative thread? That question cannot be answered by anyone but yourself. But one thing is certain, in an age when emotions can be traded, critical thinking is the truest form of empathy.